Welcome to the musical pit. Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. So my name's Laine and today I am back at it again with a new video. So today's video, as you've seen in the title, is going to be all about my wonderful experience at Laine Theatre Arts.
What we are at Laine Theatre Arts.
And this is going to be my take from it. Now, little disclaimer, obviously my first term at Laine Theatre Arts is quite different from all the other first year first term, because I entered in a pandemic year. Boo. So obviously I've only got my perspective. I will always endeavour to tell you the actual way or how a year would normally run, but I'm obviously going to predominantly talk about my point of view. So here we go! So let us start with the timetable. I'm quite literally just going to go through my timetable and just explain what it is. So with our timetable, obviously because this is a pandemic year, our timetable has been massively reduced. So we've entered something called blended learning, which means, and I'm so grateful for this, basically all of our dance lessons happened live in college. Woo! And all of the other lessons, so musical theatre and acting and whatnot, were over Zoom. I was lucky enough to be in a house and in a big room, which means that I have space in my room to do acting. The way the college organised it and communicated with us was just absolutely insane. It was so on point. It was just so, we just felt really involved and listened to as well. So here we go. So my Monday, I start at 9 AM and I have something called musicianship singing. So musicianship singing is probably one of my favourite lessons, although at 9 o'clock in the morning, I don't think so, because I can't sing in the morning. It's so funny. You hear me sing in the morning, you're like, who are you? You hear me sing past 3 and you're like, oh, wow. So yeah, so I start my Mondays with musicianship from 9 to 10:30. And what that basically is about learning about musical theory, about learning about harmony work, about... This lesson is kind of impossible to explain. No two lessons are the same. Sometimes he'll be like, right, Laine, if you were to audition for The Lion King, what would you audition? So yeah, he's always throwing you curveballs and I love it. But then obviously we'll be doing some harmony work, which is a bit difficult because it's over Zoom. But you know, we make it work. And then he'll ask us to listen to a song, then he'll ask us to perform it. And it's really tailored. I can play a bit of piano, so sometimes he'll be like, can you accompany yourself? Sometimes he'll play something and he says, can you sing a third up? Can you make a new harmony? Can you do this? And I mean, if I'm talking absolute gibberish to you, he explains it in such a delightful way. We literally had people at the start of the year that didn't know what the note C was, and now they can accurately label a note when they hear it. So it's chill. And then for those of you who think that's super simple, like me at first, he does get into it. If you demonstrate that you do indeed understand music theory. Moving on to singing, so it's quite literally building your rep. Obviously technical talk about your voice, about your placement. Oh, something I forgot to say is that your first year at Laine Theatre Arts, and I think a lot of colleges do that, but first year is dedicated towards legit singing. Hi, I've just realised that some of you may not know what legit singing is. So legit singing is anything that's sung pre-1965. There are various definitions of the word legit, but basically anything that was written before 1965. But then some people, when you tell them I want a legit song, will think of a operatic sound, ballad. But then you've obviously got musicals like Les Miserables, that's written in the style, in legit style, but it's not at all in the time. Or again, you've got musicals like West Side Story that's written pre-1965 but it's a contemporary musical. If you look at the music, you feel the sound, it doesn't have that legit quality, apart from Maria or perhaps Something's Coming. But even that, all those time signature changes, I love them, but that's not very legit. Anyway, so back to it. So again, it's very tailored to you. So for me, I had an enormous rep. But then some people had literally just their audition song, their rep. So it's about building your rep. It's about understanding the technical voice. It's about understanding the difference between contemporary voices and legit singing. In order to build our rep, he'd teach us a bit of a song every 2 weeks, and then we'd perform it the next week, and then he'd give us some feedback, and then he'd tell us about composers, and then they'd tell us to research them to see if there's anything else we'd like. So it's so nice. It's really lovely. It's all very conversational, and it's just very tailored, very catered, because obviously there's just very different abilities, so it's just very tailored, and I love it. Then we have our beautiful Pilates. So that's literally just Pilates, and again, that's over Zoom. I spend my Monday at home. It's all on Zoom on Mondays. And it's literally Pilates. Usually we would have body conditioning, and we would have gymnastic as well, as a boy anyway, at Laine's. And because we don't have them, it's really nice to have Pilates, and, you know, making sure your core's in check and your arms and your positioning. And it's really chill and it's really nice, but you got to work out. And then I end my Monday on a high. I have acting. Now, acting, we've done so many various things. Acting in a room and acting over Zoom, two very different things. So we've done a lot of self-tape techniques, monologue work, trying to work creatively and trying to make things work, even though we know we may not even be in the same room. And actually, I really like acting over Zoom, because you really have to think outside the box. Basically, I'm just really happy that we do have Zoom acting lessons, because it's actually taught me so very much that I would have just not had the opportunity to learn, I think, or not as easily and not as well and not as thoroughly had it not been for the pandemic. So, silver lining! That sums up my Monday. So Tuesdays, I start quite late. I have a late start, and my Tuesdays are dance days. So I start at 2:45 to 4:30, and I have ballet, which is ballet. Then straight after that, I have a jazz until 6. And this specific jazz, though, is more commercial jazz in this first term. Something I absolutely adore about Laine's, and I think every college should do that because it's such a good idea, is that every single term we change timetable. That means that you don't get complacent. That means that you get different teachers. That means that you get to be with other people in your class. And it just keeps things moving, and I just love it. And then the third term, you guys, it gets even better. The whole school just gets mixed up. So you're in class with third, second, and first years. And I think that's so good. It's such a nice atmosphere, and it really creates a family atmosphere. Obviously, not every college can do that, because obviously Laine is a very small, tight, beautiful family community kind of thing. And so it's very easy for them to do that, for us to do that. But I can see the benefits just reaping already. It's wonderful. And then I finish my Tuesdays with a wonderful contemporary, and that's again an hour and a half. So I finish quite late, actually. I finish at 7:30. Now on Tuesdays, at the moment, both my jazz and my contemporary teachers were extra teachers. So just a disclaimer, because we had blended learning, Laine Theatre Arts brought 35 new members of staff to help teaching. So we had tons of amazing people. I mean, we had Miss Cooper as a ballet teacher from American in Paris. And what they did because of blended learning is that we had really small groups. So my group had 7 people, and I think the biggest group had 8 people. But that's literally dividing the entire school in groups of 6 people, which is why they needed to hire 35 teachers. And obviously the timetable, the whole timetable of the whole college literally starts from about 7 o'clock until 9 p.m. So it's a massive mammoth work, and I'm so grateful to all the admins and every staff and faculty members at Laine Theatre Arts for doing this, because it's insane and it's worked, and I'm so happy that I'm training even in the year 2020, because the year 2020 was the year 2020, and we don't need to talk about 2020 anymore because it's nearly over. My Wednesdays. So my Wednesdays were really similar to my Tuesdays. It's a full dance day. I start at 2:45 again with ballet. Then at 4:30 I have jazz. Now this is another style of jazz. It's commercial hip hop musical theatre jazz. It changes every week. And I finish my day with tap. So I've never done tap before, Laine, so I'm in beginner set. It's so funny because I'm not used to, right, you guys are dancers, right? So I'm acquainted with like contemporary jazz, ballet, salsa, samba, and all these things. So if I were to go to like Pineapple or Bass or whatever and take a new dance, I would never go to the beginners class because I'd be like, I know I've never done this style before, but I have the confidence in my skills that I'd be able to pick it up and whatever. I mean, it's not to blow my horns, but most dancers would do that, right? And it's so bizarre to be in a setting where you are indeed a beginner and you don't know the terminology, you don't know anything, and it's really fascinating. But you know what, I cannot wait to be at a standard of tap where I'm like, as God's this, you know, I can't wait. And I'm practicing a shuffle, step, shuffle. My Thursday, so Thursday, super chill day. I literally start at 9 a.m. with contextual studies. So contextual studies, really easy, really nice. It's pretty much our only coursework. So what we do, again, is on Zoom. We talk about vocal health, about the industry, about what it means to be a good performer, about what it means to be an intelligent performer, about fitness, about diet, about everything and anything that you need to know as a performer, and it's super holistic, which I adore, and it's very useful. So every couple of weeks or so we get given a task. So for example, make a fitness plan, make a well-being plan, make a contingency plan, and all sorts of those kind of things. And it's just our teacher is just very open as to how we present our work. Some people obviously are 16 because Laine offers a diploma course. We have a lot of 16-year-olds who've perhaps not done A level, so they're not confident in writing papers and things like that, which is the amazing thing because we can present our work in any way we see fit. The teachers are literally always at the end of an email to like answer us in 2 seconds should we have any queries or anything. And I finish my day on Thursdays with musical theatre. Musical theatre is probably one of my favourite classes. So musical theatre, we study a musical every 3 weeks. But can I just say that my teacher for first term was Stephen Paling, who happened to be the resident director at Mamma Mia, the musical in London town. So how does musical theatre work, you ask? Simple, let me tell you. Every 3 weeks we study a new musical. And again, remember, as I said, the first year we really focus on legit musicals. And for the first term, we studied probably the most important couple in the history of musical theatre, which is Rodgers and Hammerstein. Okay. So at the moment we've done Oklahoma, Carousel, South Pacific and Sound of Music, which yes, are all written by them. And what we would do is we would study, and when I mean study, I'm talking about why was it written, where was it written, the plot, obviously, how does the song fit into it, any interesting facts, the creative theme. We would also compare between the original production and later productions, whether anything was changed, because obviously very different times. Lots of good blah blah and chats and lots of really good research. And then we would be given 2 choices of songs and we had to perform one of them, obviously bringing character and acting into the whole mix. My Fridays! So Fridays are super chill as well. So I absolutely adore my Fridays. I start at 10:45 with voice. So what is voice, do you ask? So in voice, we literally just talk about vocal health, about how do we actually physically produce sound. We talk about accents, we talk about the vocal tract, we talk about your diet and how it affects your vocal. We talk about the difference in vocals in singing, in musical theatre singing, in studio singing, in acting, in voiceover work. And we obviously talk about the whole body because we've got to think of our body as instruments. It's a bit like a guitar. If you think of the guitar as the whole body, but the strings are the vocal cords. But if you cut a part of the guitar, it's not going to sound the same. It's going to sound pretty crap. It's about knowing the best position, the best shape to make sure that the guitar resonates and sounds the best. So it's a bit like that. So that's how we involve our bodies into the whole mix, and it's really fascinating if you ask me. Then after a break, I start at 2:45 and I have jazz. Now this is tech jazz and it is delicious. So our teacher is uber pedantic in the best sense of the way. Like he'll get into all the gritty and the details anatomically, what goes on in your brain. Like it's amazing. I love holistic training, and it's so, and I said that to him, it's so amazing to have, because I love that. I'm a nerd at heart, and I love to be able to dance but also have the understanding of where does that move come from. But then also, and then he recommended me books as well, that I can read so that I can know about jazz and where it came from. And actually I didn't know, which is really bad. And I'm so glad that I bought the book because it's taught me so much. And then on top of that, he is an amazing jazz teacher. I cannot wait to see what 3 years with him will do to me. I can honestly say that he's probably one of the reasons why Laine Theatre Arts has such a reputation. And my final class of the week on Friday is an hour and a half of ballet, which is with a different teacher. He was a former teacher like 5 years ago at Laine, but obviously he was one of the 35 people that they brought to teach, and he was just breath of fresh air. I mean, I love both of my ballet teacher. I'm so glad I have them, and it's the first time I have 2 male ballet teachers, like, and they're amazing, both trained at Royal, like, oh, so happy. Okay, so I'll try to talk a little bit about what normally happens in a normal year in the first term of your first year, because and obviously everything that I'm about to say is information from second and third years that I've spoken to, that I've befriended, who've told me what usually goes on. But normally as first year, you would come in September, a week earlier than everyone else, and you would do what's known as the assessment week. Now in the assessment week, you, from what I understand, you have all your classes and your teachers watch you so that they can stream you. Now the way they tackled that, because of the pandemic, is that they emailed us a couple of weeks before we started and asked if we had any grades in ballet, in tap, in any dance styles, and just our overall experience. Now, as soon as I saw that email, I replied and I was like, I'd like to be in bottom set for everything. Not because I don't think myself as not a strong dancer or whatever, but I just come back from an injury, and I was like, I just need, at least for the first time, to work on me and to work on my injury, through my injury, and to do simple things, even though it's still Laine and we have the same teachers, you know, but work on simple things and ensure that my body can take it before I sort of move on. And I'm so glad I did that. It was just, yeah, it was the clever thing to do. So our year has about 65 people, which is a small year at Laine. The year above us has about 80, and the year above that has nearly 100. And we're divided in 3 groups of girls and 2 groups of boys. And then all of those groups are again subdivided because we have to make the groups quite, like, as I said, a maximum of 8. After our assessment week, we would usually have the freshers weekend sort of thing. So, you know, that like any uni, you just go out in a pub or in a club or a house party and you just have fun, put on some good music, have a drink, and let's go. But obviously, because there was still somewhat of a lockdown in September, the amazing third year students had organised a massive Zoom with the entire school in terms of students, obviously, and we got to, and they put us in breakout rooms, and we got to talk with second and third years and ask for advice. That was actually really, really nice, and it was an amazing way to start the year. A couple of weeks after that, usually that's in the second, third week of Laines, once everyone started, we have something known as the happy hour. Now, in happy hour, it's literally a feel-good moment. You usually have the faculty and Miss Laine talking to the students and just hyping us up. It's also when they announce who are the head boys, who are the head girls, who are the student reps. It's when they announce all sorts of things. If there's something exciting going on in that specific year or in that term, then that's where they'll announce it, and it's just a feel-good moment. And then once that's over, Miss Laine and all the faculty leave the room. It's in a big studio. Spotlight's on. They put on the music to blast, and they just have a good old dance circle, and you just go for it. And I hear, and I've seen videos, it looks epic and it looks amazing. Now, obviously this year, we can't do that because we couldn't be 2 meters and it was just a logistic mess. So we did it over Zoom, and Miss Laine herself appointed me as a student rep. So I'm a first year student rep, which I was so happy about. Every year has 2 male and 2 female student reps, and I was just like, because obviously the first time I'd seen Miss Laine was on the 26th of February, way back when, and that was literally for about 15 minutes in my audition. By the way, if you've not seen it, go and look at my other video on how my crazy Laine audition was, because it's a feast. Other than that, we would have a fuller timetable, so I compared my timetable to somebody who would have been in my group last year, and they start every day from 9 to about 6:30. For example, I have 3 ballet lessons a week. They would have had 4 plus a modern lesson. They would have had 4 jazz lessons. I've only got 3. A gymnastics class, a weights class, and just, yeah, a fuller timetable. But other than that, despite this entire like crazy times, the college has managed this sublimely. All right, let's move on. Assessment. So our assessment was super easy. So for each discipline went as follow. My first assessment was for singing. So for singing, we had a series of 8 vocal warm-ups that we could choose, and we only had to do 2 of them. And there'd be technical exercises such as going from thin to thick folds, from doing sirens and many other. And we had to self-tape them and send them off, and we got marked based on that. Pretty much all of our dancing assessments, apart from contemporary, were done over the course of the entire term, which I love because obviously, yes, you do concentrate, but there was no stress of, oh, right, today I have to learn this dance or do this, that, the other. It was just over the course of the whole term. So as long as you do well and you do your best, that's a nice way to get the highest mark you can possibly achieve. My contemporary assessment, however, was a dance that we'd been working on for a couple of weeks, and then we just performed it, and it went rather well actually. So, but then the teacher did say that it's not just based on that. Our voice assessment, we had to learn a Second World War poem, and we had to deliver it. Obviously links into the acting because voice isn't just about your voice. We did have to act it, and for acting we had a monologue. We had the choice of 2 and we had to pick one and deliver it self-tape mode. Yay, love a self-tape. For musical theatre, we simply had to sing one of the songs that we'd been studying and deliver it on a Zoom call, so that was very nice. It was live and it just took the pressure out. For the appraisals, what usually tends to happen is that the last week of the first term we'd have an appraisal, which is a sit-down one-to-one chat with every single one of your teachers, which is so beneficial. Half my teachers had me sit down and said, what do you think you need to improve on, and made me lead the whole conversation, which I think was really nice. It's so good because then you're able to see where you are and how your teachers think of you, but how your work all comes together. Which nicely segues me to the report. So at the end of every single term at Laine's, you get a report with a mark. In the appraisal, they don't tell you, I'm going to give you that and that mark, but it's nice because you sort of understand. And it's really nice that you have the appraisal and then the report, so that you go into those conversations with a blank slate, and it's just very nice. But because these are quite literally in dance, you had an A, it's very nice to have a conversation with your teacher. Okay, you guys, I'm going to cut the video here because otherwise I'll rumble on forever. But thanks ever so much for watching. If you did enjoy, please do subscribe. If you've got any questions, because I'm probably talking gibberish at times, do put it in the comment and I will reply. If you don't want your question to be public, because sometimes I know you feel like, message me on Instagram. So many people have done that. Please message me. Like, this is why I've done this channel, is so that people can talk to me and like ask me things. Because last year I was in your position. I kid you not, when I was auditioning for Laine's, I looked at every single YouTube videos and everything on the internet that was tagged Laine's or anything as such. So please do ask. This is my Instagram if you want to message me privately or follow me, or you know. Apart from that, thanks again for watching. I hope to see you guys very soon. Much love. Yeah.